happy Monday. So I'm excited to be coming to you this kind of gray and cool Monday morning from Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm going to start, as I often do, with a little bit of smudge. So I have all of my usual tools handy as far as when I'm doing stuff online. In case anybody's curious, I always smudge because I feel like when I'm opening myself up to this tool, to this portal, of course I'm opening myself up to so much energy. And so for the purpose of healthy boundaries and only allowing back through the portal what I would like to have come through, I utilize some tools. The other one I use is selenite. So if you're unfamiliar with selenite, it's very good at absorbing any kind of negative energies. It can be used to charge and clear and cleanse other stones as well. So I put this in front of whatever my device is, and I always start with some smudge. So I'm gonna get that started while I'm waiting for people to kind of hop on here. So I'm excited to talk about a couple of different things today. Good morning. One of the things I want to talk about this morning is drum care. So I've had some questions over the weekend about people's drums going flat. So I want to just kind of touch on that real quick because I think it's a really good question. And if you're unfamiliar with working with traditional frame drums, then it can be disturbing when your drum goes flat and you don't know why. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I've also been reflecting on some situations. I mentioned it on Friday, and I may talk a little bit more about just working with in spiritual communities. And anyways, I'll touch on that a little bit later, but just giving people sort of a second to show up and get situated. If you want to get your own smudge going, I encourage you to do that. Grab your drum. So I'm going to talk a little bit right now about drum care. So these traditional frame drums are very susceptible to environmental influences, and let me expound on that a little bit. So mainly for me, I live in a part of the country that's very humid, and we get a lot of rain, and so this has a really profound effect on the sound of the drums. So the drums can go really flat very quickly when we're experiencing any kind of rain or humidity, anything along those lines. So if you find that that's happening, don't be alarmed at all. So I have to keep an eye on my drums constantly to see, and I may think that it's not humid outside at all, like it's sunny and it's whatever, but all I have to do is check my drum to know if there's a high level of humidity, whether it's in my home or out, obviously if it's humid in my home, it's probably humid outside. So, and in North Carolina, we're pretty much humid 100% of the time. So keeping my drum tuned is something that's, I have to constantly stay on top of. So if you're finding that your drum is getting flat, it's falling out of its normal tone, it's no longer tight, it feels loose, any of that kind of thing, don't be alarmed and don't worry. It's totally fine and completely natural, and is an indication that there's moisture in the air. There's another way that I recently was brought to my attention is if you are working with your drum outside, it's very important, and I highly recommend not to place your drum directly on the ground. So oftentimes the ground is going to hold a level of moisture that's higher than what's potentially in the air. I'm no scientist or anything like that, so if you know more about this stuff than I do and what I'm saying is incorrect, please by all means, correct me. But on a day when it was sunny and 80 and beautiful and whatever, one of the drums got put on the, like leaned up against a chair on the ground, and it lost its tone pretty dramatically. So if you're working with your drum outside, be mindful of placing it on the ground. And that also is just a general rule. I was always taught that you want to treat your drum much like you would treat a pet or a child. You don't want to leave it unattended by the fire, right? You don't want to like tune your, and we're going to talk about different ways that you can tune your drum. So I'll touch on that in a second as well. So be mindful of laying your drum down on the ground. You are going to be heartbroken if it gets kicked or stepped on or anything like that, as well as the potential for the moisture from the ground influencing the tone of it when you're getting ready to want to play it. So keep it in your lap or place it in a chair, that sort of thing. Or at least if you are going to lean it up and like have it near you, have it on, something between it and the ground, whether it be like a blanket or, something of that nature is important. So moisture is not your drum's friend as far as the tone goes. Some ways that you can tune your drum, very quickly. My favorite way, hey Vanessa, is to put it out in the sun. So if it's a sunny day, which today is not a sunny day, I will just place my drum on the back steps of my house in direct sunlight for maybe 10-15 minutes max. I'm not trying to leave it out there for a super long time. You don't want to over tighten the drum. You don't want to leave it unattended for long periods of time. This is rawhide. Animals are attracted to it, so that's another thing, and pets, especially dogs, are very attracted to the smell of the drum. So you don't want to leave it unattended, but for very long. But put it somewhere safe in the sun. That will tune it up very quickly, even if it's humid outside. If you put it in direct sunlight, it will be in good shape. So that's important that's an important tool for tuning your drum. Another way that you can tune your drum, good morning, is to utilize a hair dryer. So that's what I just did before this session, because I wanted to be able to have access to drum this morning, but my drum was very flat, like real flat, like loose flat. It was so humid. And my home is so well built and so well insulated that like it really holds the humidity, and I'm realizing that I need to get a dehumidifier for my office and where I store my drums and all of my drum making equipment, because it's just a better environment for it. So that's something that I'm going to be looking into doing. So a hair dryer. Running the hair dryer over the surface of your drum for maybe 5 minutes, and you want to test it. Be mindful of how close you're putting the hair dryer to the surface of the drum. It's okay for it to be close, but like the more you bring it close to it, it's not good for your hair dryer actually, to do that, and it's not great for your drum. So give it a little bit of space so that warm air can do what it is that it needs to do. You want to get the edges as well. You can even flip it over and do it from the other side, but that usually will tune your drum fairly quickly as well. If it's a day like today, and you can do what I did, which is not the most attractive thing in the world to do, but it works, is put your drum in a plastic trash bag. And this is what I was taught to do when I first made the drum, was to actually store my drum in a trash bag. Because if you want to hold the tune or the tone of your drum and keep it tuned, then that's one way that you can do it. It's just aesthetically, for me, it's a bit, I don't love the idea of my drum being in a trash bag, just in the how my mind works and like the metaphor of that. But if on occasion I have to just get over it, and so it's a good tool to do that. It will help keep the tone of the drum. So when I tuned my drum this morning for this session, I put it in a trash bag because of how humid it is outside. Because by the time I play it, more than likely, it'll be flat again. It takes no time whatsoever for it to absorb that moisture from the environment and go flat. So the other way that you can tune your drum is by a fire. So if you're, getting ready to play, you're playing with a group, a lot of times you're going to be playing around a fire, right? So you're going to have that central fire that's being tended, so you can just face the drum to the fire. Just again, be very, very mindful of how close you're getting with that. Because obviously you don't want to inadvertently set your drum on fire. Or if you overheat your fire, you can actually crack or rip the face of the drum. I personally have never had that happen, ever, but I've heard of people who have. So again, you just really want to be mindful and thoughtful about how you're tuning your drum and pay attention. If I'm tuning it in front of the fire, I'll face it to the fire, and then I'll, after just a few moments, I'll check it and see. And depending on the drum and how big the drum is, like smaller drums like 12-inch or 14-inch or, whatever, those take like no time whatsoever to tune. That 24-inch drum that I made, that took a little bit more doing to tune, and I found that tuning that in the sun was way easier because of the surface area of the head of the drum. So those are just a few tips and tricks. I've heard of people placing their drums on top of lamps in their house. I don't recommend this because, again, the level of heat that unless you're using an LED, and an LED isn't going to put off much heat anyways, which means it's not going to tune your drum to begin with. I just don't recommend it. If you're using traditional light bulbs, it's going to put off a level of heat that you don't want to leave it unattended, and it's a fire hazard. So again, it's just, you want to be really thoughtful about how you're doing that. So again, don't be alarmed if your drum is getting out of tune. No big deal. It's totally fine. A hair dryer is going to be the most effective tool in your home to help you. The sun is going to be the other most effective tool to help you tune your instrument. And then if you don't have either, under the right circumstances, using a fire is a good one as well. Just be mindful. If you have questions about your drum care and that sort of thing, please reach out and let me know any questions that you have. Another thing that I recommend to people is don't leave your drum in your car unattended, especially during hot summer days. You want to treat a drum like you would any other instrument, like a guitar or, a violin or a fiddle, anything like that. Like, the environment that it's in, it is going to have an effect on the sound. These are all natural materials. The wood frames are not sealed with chemicals. So again, like water and moisture are not your friend. when it comes to these, traditional instruments. So just be thinking about the way that you're storing them and caring for them. And yeah, so just a few words on that. Let me just kind of tune in here for a second and see what else is showing up before we do a little bit of drumming this morning. And of course, if you have questions that you would like answered, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments. All right, well, let's go ahead and do a little meditation. So I am doing this morning's inner guide meditation and teaching without my earpieces because, I don't know, I heard to try it without it. I wanted to kind of check in on the sound and recording quality without those. So anyways, if you're noticing any kind of specific significant shift in the quality of this, let me know, and I'll make sure to employ those once again. So anyways, so last week I heard, as far as these drummings that I'm offering, and I'm hearing to do them every time I do these inner guide teachings and meditations, although as any of you know, I reserve the right to hear something completely different at any given moment. But I want you to utilize these drummings for whatever it is that you need them for. So it's for you. It's not about me trying to guide and specify what they're being used for. It's really about you utilizing them for what you need them for, okay? So let's go ahead and find a comfortable seat and let's close the eyes. And let's just take a few rounds of square breathing here to just sort of shift our consciousness into a place of inner concentration to withdraw the senses. So let's take a deep inhalation together through the nostrils and exhale through the mouth together. Another one like that. Inhale together and exhale together. Last one like that. Inhale together and exhale together. Before we do our square breathing, let's call in and on our guides and our ancestors, those who are working for our highest good and well-being, all that is strong and powerful in our ancestral line and in our blood. We'll call in and on the energies of the land upon which we reside. Welcome that energy, the spirits of the land and of the animals, of the plants, of all of the elements, earth, air, water, fire, and ether. And let us also call in and on all 7 of the directions: east, south, west, north, above, below, and within. And let's call in and on the Reiki, the distance Reiki energy, as these sessions of teaching and meditation are saturated in this Reiki energy that is only working for our very highest good and well-being. Good. We'll do just a few rounds of the square breathing. So exhale completely together. All of this will be done through the nostrils. And let's inhale for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold the breath for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Leave the breath out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do 2 more rounds. Inhale 6. 3, 2. Hold the breath for 6. Exhale for 6. Leave the breath out for 6. Last one. Inhale 6. Hold for 6. Exhale 6. And leave the breath out for 6. Let the breath return to its natural pace and rhythm. Deep, steady, full, complete, even breaths. Allow the awareness to withdraw within the right side of the heart, in the center of the chest. Some traditions call this the 7th direction, the inward direction of communion. The drawing into the cave of the heart, where the eternal flame of that which pervades behind all, whatever that is or whatever that means to you. It is here you can connect with your ancestors, connect with your guides, connect with the energies of the land, work with your spiritual guidance and with your tools, receive direct revelation. So opening yourself up to whatever it is that's showing up for you this morning. Let's drum for just a few moments. If you have your drum at home and you wish to drum along with me, by all means, join in. moments to just breathe in the residual vibration of the drum. I can still hear the resonance of the drum being reverberated throughout my house. I have the blessing of living in a house that is very well constructed. There's a lot of masonry work and plaster and wood, and it holds the vibration of the drum in the walls and continues to vibrate, and I can hear it. So cool. Only house I've ever lived in that has had that kind of ability to hold the vibration of the drum in its walls. So take a few moments here to offer up gratitude for whatever it is that's on the forefront of your heart and mind. It could be something really small or something pretty big. Whatever those things are that are bringing joy and lightness and brightness into your life right now, bringing inspiration, creativity into your life. What has this time recently, in the last few days, offered you the opportunity to reflect upon? What is it that's rising up to the surface, that's asking for your attention to either more deeply come into relationship with it so that you have a better connection to whatever that is, so that you might have more information to make choices, to navigate. I encourage all of you to continue to develop your ability to listen to your emotional navigation, which really lives in your gut, right? It's our instinctual navigation. And I encourage, I will say that for me, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned about developing how to listen to my emotional navigation or my internal compass is not needing to know why. It's something I keep bringing up over and over. And I continue to receive validation, deep validation about decisions that I've made in the last 15 years. Big, huge life decisions that at the time I didn't fully understand, but for whatever the reason, in the last week I've been granted insight into many of them. And I feel so grateful for that. And being shown that my ancestors have been guiding my steps for such a long time, and that my instincts to trust my gut and to move beyond any programming that I have picked up along the way or been exposed to that would potentially override that emotional navigation, wasn't strong enough to do so, and never has been strong enough to do so. And I'm very grateful for that. So I encourage you to trust yourself, but you don't need to know why. More than likely at some point you'll be given insight as to why certain steps and moves and choices have been made. Good. Take a moment to see yourself floating in a bubble of protective light. That filter that only allows in that healthy boundary that only allows in what it is you give permission to cross its threshold. Another theme that we talk about all the time, that our mental, emotional, energetic, physical, and spiritual health is resting on the foundation of the choices that we make, the words that we speak, the things that we think about ourselves and our life and what we're creating for ourselves. And boundaries is a huge part of that. What we will and will not accept, right? We teach others how to treat us. We teach the universe, honestly, how to treat us by communicating what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And the more that we do this, the more that I do this, the more protection I afford myself. There are certain things I'm just invisible to because it's just not accepted in my energy field. Healthy boundaries are one of the most powerful protections that you can develop. So if there's anything in your life right now that you're saying yes to, but you're secretly wishing you were saying no, I highly encourage you to take a look at that. And what qualities and characteristics are needed to be developed in your life so that you can shift that insincere yes, that compromised yes, right? That yes that's putting you in a place where you don't want to be, into a no. What is it that's needed in order for you to feel empowered to say no? And where is it in your life that you're potentially saying no to something that you actually want to say yes to? Maybe it's being motivated by fear of the unknown, vulnerability, right? Sometimes our desire to protect ourselves overrides the navigation that's being asked to be followed for a more fully authentically lived potential. So what qualities and characteristics are needed to be developed in your life so that you can turn that fearful no compassionately and courageously into the yes that you want it to be, so that you feel safe and secure in whatever it is that comes, that you can take responsibility for whatever it is that comes forward. Good. And just take one more deep breath here. Let's begin to breathe into fingers and breathe into toes, coming back into the physical fully and completely. Let's roll the shoulders. Beautiful. Inhale, let's draw the hands up, extend the arms. Exhale, take the arms out. I found a new name for this breath technique that I hadn't heard it called before. I don't even know what I have been calling it. I've been doing it intuitively for years. This has been called the vagus nerve breath. So inhaling, taking the arms up, exhaling, turning palms away and floating the arms down on the exhale. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale. Reach arms up. You can even look up between the hands. Lengthen the spine. Draw the low belly in. Exhale. Float hands down. Maybe look down to the ground. Last time. Inhale. Float arms up. And exhale. Bring the arms out and down. Good. So I just want to thank all of you that joined me this morning for this inner guide meditation and teaching. I'm continuing to be busy with taking private sessions with people by donation right now. I'm just going to continue to do this as we all are passing through this very challenging time of the climate of our environment, right? So if you wish to set up a session with me for some support or guidance or insight or discussion of any kind, any mentorship, whatever, and I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to do it. I'm just here to support you to your own inner guide, and so anything I can do to help with that, whether that be yoga or Reiki or reading or some combination thereof, please reach out to me. I'm happy to set up a session with you. I continue to make drums, and I'm so excited because I just birthed 2 drums yesterday, 2 new beautiful drums. So this is a new this is a mule deer, This is a mule deer drum that's been dyed for a couple of days in coffee. I dyed it in the leftover grounds of my Joe Van Gogh coffee, and so that went really well. And this one it's not fully dry yet, so I'm not going to actually let you hear the sound of it because it's still wet. I just made it yesterday. This is a tree handle. It's got some really beautiful detailing as far as what was requested as far as artwork on the frame. And so, this is one that I made yesterday. The other one that I made yesterday was a traditional buffalo drum. So this is an 18-inch, the same size that I was just playing. This one you can hear a little bit of the sound of it. It's pretty much dry, but because of the humidity, it needs a little bit of time. So, it's beautiful. Got really nice markings on it. This has not been dyed. I did a traditional handle on it, just equal parts handle. So this is a beautiful 18-inch buffalo drum. I'm super excited about this drum and how it's going to sound. So it's for someone for their music room, which is so cool. So if you are feeling called to having a custom drum made for you, I'm continue to get orders pretty much daily, which is, I'm so blessed. Love these drums and what they're doing for people. I want to get as many drums in people's hands. If you're feeling called to make your own drum and you would like some guidance on that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. So anyways, reach out to me with questions, comments. I'm working on some blog posts right now. I hope to have those ready soon. And I hope you all have a beautiful beginning to your week. I love you all so much and appreciate you, and look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. And I'll see you Wednesday morning at 8:30, Friday morning at 8:30. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.